Now to Labor's renewables-only rollout, where new data mapping shows the staggering scale of this fantasy obsession. 25,000 wind towers, 250 million solar panels, and all at a cost of $1.3 trillion. Now, this is our very first glimpse of the true scale of this. This project has been led by Queensland conservationist Stephen Nowakowski, and he says the rollout is ad hoc, chaotic madness with no costings by government and no regional or national spatial planning. I find it staggering that thousands of wind towers and transmission are being rolled out in such an unplanned manner, and no one seems to care. Well, gee, he's not wrong, is he? For more on this, I'm now joined by former Nationals leader Michael McCormack. Michael, nice to catch up. Look, if you look at that image that we just played, the area is actually equivalent to almost all of metropolitan Sydney, parts of the lower Blue Mountains and beyond Richmond and Campbelltown. The sheer extent of this is extraordinary, isn't it?
It is, Danica, but never mind the fact that it's taking up a metropolitan area, it's going to take up arable farmland. Arable farmland where at the moment we grow food and fibre. It's the equivalent of more than 1 million football fields taken up with what? Solar panels, which are going to reduce the global temperature by 0.5 degree. Wind towers as tall as Barangaroo 1. I mean, this is nonsense. But don't take my word for it. Ask the Emma Webbs of the world between Bowning and Bynalong. She's really worried about a company which is running insolvent in the UK coming in and putting 90 wind towers, which are just going to ruin their idyllic, peaceful area. And for what? For this reckless rush to renewables that Chris Bowen, remember Chris Bowen, the immigration minister, who brought 800 boats and 50,000 illegal maritime arrivals when he was the worst immigration minister in Australia. Now he's in charge of energy and climate action. I mean, go figure. This bloke is no friend to Australia, no friend whatsoever. He calls it cheap politics when you criticise the policy. Yet it's not cheap politics for those households, those manufacturing businesses, those farmers, those small business operators who are paying through the nose for their energy bills.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned, regional Australia. They are the ones really suffering because the land is being carved up to, connect solar, to connect transmission lines for the grid. I mean, it's just getting out of control. And I've got to say the other thing, Michael, is the data today has put the cost of the rollout at $1 trillion. And this is just the issue. We don't actually know how much the fantasy is going to cost. 2 weeks ago, Labor put out a 2035 target, uncosted, and with no answer as to what it will do for our power bills.
Well, it's actually $1.33 trillion, but what's $0.33 trillion to the Labor Party? I mean, they've never been good with figures. And you mentioned connecting to the grid. There are project proposals up in the Upper Lachlan Shire, which is in the Riverina electorate, near Crookwell, where they're going to put up wind towers, but they're not going to be connected to the grid. There are battery energy storage systems cropping up all over the countryside, all over my electorate, which if and when, and it's probably more a matter of when, not if, they catch fire, the local rural fire service volunteers say they're not going to be able to put them out because they're not trained to do so. They're not trained and they don't want to place their health at risk for the toxicity of the flames. And then, of course, we've got the solar panels. Thankfully, Engie, a French-owned company, pulled the plug, literally, on a proposal to build a solar factory next to Yass, which was bigger than Yass itself. But these are happening all over Australia. And we've got state governments which are complicit in it because they are riding roughshod over local councils and local community interests. They're not taking any considerations into account. They're just rolling out these renewables, and it's at a huge cost to all Australians. And again, I ask for what? We're not going to change the world's climate by ruining Australia's best farmland. And we grow the best food and fibre in all of Australia. We've got the best environmental stewards, and they're called farmers. And we need them 3 times a day, every day. We should be thanking them, not ruining their countryside with this rush to renewables nonsense.
Well, look, speaking of farmers, there was a report today that farmers who actually welcome renewables projects on their properties are now being bullied, harassed, even threatened by activists who are opposing these projects. Michael, what's happening out there? Are farmers being pitted against each other?
According to this inquiry, they are. I've never seen country communities as divided as this. Families are being split up. They're being split up by spivs and shysters coming in, offering the world to one family and not to another. Even in their own families, brothers and sisters are fighting. Family friendships, which have been going for years, have been cast asunder because one has signed up to a renewables project, leasing their land to a wind tower, and the other is not. And they are being made feel like they're pariahs in their country communities. They can't go into town and get a coffee because they've signed a deal. And what they don't understand, sadly, Danica, is the fact that, when these come to get commissioned, Danica, who's going to pay for that? Who is going to actually pay for the rusted wind turbines decommissioning, for the recycling of it? It's going to be the farmers themselves, and it's going to cost them perhaps not tens of thousands of dollars, but hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, they should be very careful before they sign anything from these spivs, who are only going to send the money offshore at any rate. It is an absolute crock. Country communities are so divided, and the divide also, the chasm between city and country, has never been wider, unfortunately, because we've got the Zali Steggles of the world who think that their electorates need this, want this, and to hell with regional communities which don't want this. And it's such a sad situation when you see families split up and you see friendships which have been lasting for decades also split up over this rush to renewables, which is all on Chris Bowen's watch.
Absolutely. It's so worrying, actually, that it is literally ripping towns apart. It's just shocking. Michael McCormack, nice to catch up. Thanks very much for joining me on the show this evening.